Okay, what we're looking at is the SQ1 workshops. This is called the pictogram of life. It's also called a diagram, and a pictogram. It all means the same thing to you. But we're going to start up here in the corner with the central premise, which you've already seen. And the premise says that our results come from our behaviors. And to get the results we want, we must control and direct our actions by controlling our states, the state of mind, the state of body, and the state of your emotions. So we're going to do this. The way to make this effective is you have to make your own. So you could copy this or print it out, but your best bet is to grab a piece of paper out of your printer and create your own, because it's going to become customized, and by writing it out by hand, a lot of things are going to become a little bit clearer to her. We go over here to this circle, and I call it the connective circle between our thoughts and our body. And here we say what affects one affects the other. A brief definition of thoughts is it's a functional stimuli or brain activity. It's the excitement that's going on in your brain cells. Your body is both the external and the internal condition, and the use of the neurological and biological functions. Your physiology and your movement are the controlling factors. Let me give you a couple examples of that. An easy example would be road rage. If you've ever driven down the street and perhaps by accident cut somebody off and they started honking and screaming and pulling out their gun and getting ready to shoot you, see, they were stimulated by your action. And their brain activity, people with road rage or any type of rage, it automatically clicks into an anger type mode because they have no control of this. They do, but these people are unaware of how to do it. And so you see, this was an external motivator for them. The stimulus came from your, oops, sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off. And that was external, and then what happened was their internal triggers affected their body, neurological, and biological functions. If you've ever encountered someone in a rage, a girlfriend, a spouse, or somebody like that, you've seen this. That's a very clear demonstration of what affects one affects the other. We talk about the states, and what we talk about are the conditions of your mind, your body, and your emotions. And what the states are at any given time is the sum total of your feelings, thoughts, physiologies at any given time, right now, in the moment. So, going back to our road rage example, we see that the sum total of the person's feelings, your feeling might be, oops, I'm sorry, I had to get over, the lane was coming up, I was in the wrong lane, I did the best I could. I mean, that might be your state of mind, but the person in the car behind you honking their horn and giving you the finger and getting ready to shoot you, their whole state of mind, body, and their emotions are one of anger and one of upset. See, so that's a very clear illustration to see when people get angry. You can very clearly see the sum total of their feelings, their thoughts, their physiologies in the moment, in the now. The same can be said for in love, or when you're falling in love, or your first encounter of love, or something like that. Everything is very positive, and your brain gets flooded with love chemicals, just like the road rage guys. His brain gets flooded with anger chemicals. And we'll get into that a little bit later. But what's important for you is to understand that you have some control over this. Now, we talk about thoughts and the stimuli, and I just gave you an example of an external stimuli. And these come to us through our primary senses. And those are, of course, sight, sound, touch, taste, and smell. You have secondary senses, mostly internal, and we'll cover some of those later in the program. Your internal stimuli come from your beliefs and your attitudes. Again, back to that road rage guy. His attitude is, who knows what sets these people off. They think you have somehow offended them, you have disrespected them in some way, and they go off on that. They can't handle that. But it goes to a person's values, their experiences, and their self. And I note here vicarious and empathetic. We'll get into that a little bit later. But also these beliefs and these attitudes, where do they come from? Well, they are habits. And habits are the physical basis for beliefs and attitudes. We're going to talk about habits because if you go into a road rage habit when you're driving down the street, or here's another example. I know guys that do something, working with a tool or something, it doesn't work, or they start hitting it and pounding on it. Maybe you've seen this in the office or someplace. A computer doesn't work or the printer doesn't work. And the person starts hitting on it, hurting their hand and everything. It's an inanimate object. I've seen people kick their cars and their tires and everything, and like you can break your feet on something like that, or break your hand and arm, or, but that's an automatic stimulus that comes about from a habit. And what we show on the pictogram of life, the behaviors that are continuously conducted become the habits. And that usually takes 25 to 35 days to create a new habit or to replace an old bad habit. It's very important to do this. So now you've got the premise. The results come from our behaviors. You understand that our behaviors are the result of our state of mind at any given time, and right now in the moment. It's the condition of your mind, body, and emotions. And it's your decisions to do, and that is to act or enact. The guy with road rage takes an action. He makes a decision. It's probably not conscious because it's an automatically stimulated response based upon his beliefs and mainly his attitude. We see here this circle is not connected. It's connective circle, but up there is a little gap, and there's a reason for that. But it's important to understand that what affects one affects the other. And you just saw that. If you come across a person in a state of anger, maybe you're in a mall and you've seen two people arguing or in a fight, what they're thinking affects their body. In fact, you can even read people's body language and pretty much understand what they're thinking about. What is their state at the given time? So if you've ever been in line, like here's a good place, Walmart. You'll see this every single hour of the day. Go to the customer service desk or any place and see the disgruntled customer dealing with a Walmart employee. Okay, so what affects one affects the other. Now, we talk about the body, we talked about the mind, but the body has external, internal condition, and the use of neurological and biological functions. It's the physiology and movement are the controlling factors. And over here I have what those controlling factors are. A diet, what you put in your body, the exercise, if you do any, which includes your posture, as comes into being, your breathing, your muscle condition, your use, and your movement. So take a look at yourself right now. You're probably sitting down watching this. What is your external condition? Are you sitting? Are you relaxed? What's going on internally? If you're hungry, then you may be thinking about food and not listening to this or doing something like that. So you have to understand that the body, what's the first thing they do to a newborn baby and it comes out and it's not kicking and screaming, is they slap it on the butt. And the reason they do that, they want that baby to inhale, take a deep breath of oxygen. We can go days without food and water. You can't go 10 minutes without oxygen. There might be a handful of people in the world that can do that, but if you don't breathe in 10 minutes, you're probably dead. And it's one of the keys of the Square One workshops, because the opinion here is that you don't get enough oxygen. And if you will start a breathing program immediately, and along with being aware of what goes into your body and as a result of what goes into your body. See, what affects one affects the other. Oftentimes we eat and it affects our thinking. A lot of depressed people eat a lot of carbohydrates. They reach for the ice cream at night and the potato chips, the comfort foods like that, which do not add to any positive or any way to break that. Now, if you're clinically depressed, you probably need some medical treatment and help. But we're going to show you what affects one affects the other. So we've pretty much covered the top of the SQ1. We'll get down here to your lifeline in just a minute. So the questions to ask yourself is this: what exactly do you want to experience? What results do you want? If you know what the results you want are, then what actions do you need to take? What thoughts do you need to have? What physiology, in other words, what do you make your body do? And why do you want this particular experience? And you're going to see in just a minute that most of us want an experience, a result, to avoid certain pain or to seek certain pleasures. I'm going to end this part with the pictogram formula. Number one, you got to know you wanted experiences. It is SQ1, square one, know what you want. Number two, you must take action. But this can't be willy-nilly or here-to-there action. It's got to be focused action, working in a certain direction. Number three, you've got to learn what doesn't work, it does. If it's working, you continue that on to you achieve your goal. If it doesn't work, you adjust and continue on in more action. This comes really into play a little bit later on. So, just a quick summary of the top half of the pictogram of life. Whatever the result is you want, whatever you want to experience, you can make that come about if you take control and direct your actions by controlling your state of mind. You control your state of mind is represented by the decisions that you do. So you're making decisions to do or not to do. And that becomes the result of your behavior. And remember, when it comes to the behavior, your body and your mind are very much connected along with your emotions. We'll get into this a little bit deeper, but for right now, the question is, what do you want to experience? And then we'll get into what actions. On the next video, we're going to go down to the lifeline, and this is where you really get to customize and custom create the diagram of, or the pictogram of life. So this is number one, Gordon J. Alexander's Square One Workshops, Lesson 1. We're done.